Are you counting down the days until January 1st?
We are. You know, we're excited and getting ready for, you know, what we want to bring to the table, and looking forward to, you know, my first thing is putting a team together where I'm looking for a competent team where we know when we go to City Hall every day, we're making Youngstown better. So.
It's been 6 days since the election. Has it set in yet?
It has not. You know, I'm one of those guys, I'm cautiously optimistic about everything, but it's set in because, you know, people are asking, you know, to do this and that. I want to make sure that I'm very structured. You know, I'm calculated. It's not just jump off. Let's have a plan. I'm a planner. I want to plan things. Let's put it together. So we're putting a good plan together for January 1st, and prior to that, we'll be ready. You know, we'll hit the ground running as well.
How does Mayor Brown sound to you?
You know, it sounds great, you know, everywhere but at home. No one in the house has said that to me yet. So when it'll sink in, if somebody in my house says that, or, you know, a relative or friend of mine say that, they'll say it, you know, tongue in cheek, but they don't necessarily say it like, hey, you know. But it does. It's one of those things, you know, when you're born here, you're raised here, you kind of say, you know what, that's all right. That works for me. So.
You've dedicated all your life pretty much to public service. Mm-hmm. Would you say being the mayor of Youngstown's a lifelong dream?
It is. You know, I had opportunities to leave Youngstown, and I always talk about, you know, being a teenage dad at 17. I wanted to stay here to help raise my son, and I just knew that if I was going to stay, I wanted to be a part of what, the solutions. I didn't just want to sit here and complain. If there's issues that need to be dealt with, I wanted to get at the table and help, roll up my sleeves, and get involved. So, yeah, it is. You know, and it means a lot when you hear people call you from California or Florida that are, you know, alumni of Youngstown, say, you know, it couldn't happen to a better person. I'm glad you're there. Some even say, I might even come back home now that you're the mayor. So we look forward to those conversations and, you know, making sure that we work hard for the citizens of Youngstown.
You came so close last time. Was there ever a doubt in your mind that maybe last Tuesday would never happen? You know,
no, I thought last Tuesday would never get here. You know, because we started, you know, our first run when we didn't make it and we were 142 votes short, we started this one back in December of 2016. So I interrupted Christmas. I interrupted a New Year's celebration because I knew we had to get started early. We had to be dedicated if we wanted to be victorious.
But you get a nice Christmas gift this year.
We get, my wife actually wants to put the Christmas tree up this week. So we're going to put the Christmas tree up. It'll be up if you come to our house, don't be alarmed. The Christmas tree will be up for Thanksgiving.
So pretty much starting early, obviously, it's all worth it in the end.
Sure, it is, and you make sure for me, it was just kind of be consistent, work as hard as you can every day. You know, I would go home, if I was exhausted, I felt I did my job.
It's probably hard to put into words. I mean, it's hard to say what a hometown means to someone, but I mean, what does Youngstown truly mean to you?
It is the place, you know, I always say it's infectious. You know, if you come to Youngstown once, I have friends that'll visit, and they're like, man, I want to go back. What about the pizza place? You guys still have that? What's the handles, the ice cream? So it's things you don't find anywhere else, but it's unique. And I always say the greatest asset that we have here are the people. And to be the mayor of the city of Youngstown, it's an honor and a privilege, and I will serve it with dedication and commitment.
What have you done the last 6 days, really? Really anything? Big celebration?
No, I really have not had that, you know, where I just take that, celebrate. You know, I return every text message. I listen to every voicemail if someone left me a voicemail, and I already started looking at, you know, what positions, what things are going on. I've had a brief communication with Mayor McNally and talking about a transition team. So I did take a couple of days off with the family, and now this week we're ready to get back to work.
How many text messages were there to return?
170, 180, and probably close to 100 voicemails.
I get overwhelmed by 5.
Yeah, yeah.
You probably don't have anything set in stone at this point, position-wise, police chief, fire chief, or do you?
No, I don't. You know, everyone who wants to be a part of my administration, I'll ask them to, you know, submit their resume. We will have I'm going to put together a transition team, a team that will have some HR background, will have some understanding of what the needs and expectations are. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it will be my choice as mayor to pick my cabinet. I want someone whose visions and line up with mine. that we can work together and move forward.
And I think something that you told Mr. Ricciuti on Tuesday, you said you choose someone who lives inside the city before outside?
That's first. I want, and if I have two applicants, one's inside the city, one's outside the city, and they're equally qualified, I'm going to give the city resident the job.
And why is that?
I think it's important to live where you work. If you want to be a part of where you work, I think you're more invested. I think if you're the police chief and you live in the city of Youngstown, you see things a little different because that's your hometown. Not that anyone who's not living in the city might not think that way, but I just want that. I want you to live where you work, and that's just, if I have a control over that, that's the job I'm going to make sure I continuously control.
What else is in your future plans for Youngstown? What's your vision of Youngstown?
You know what? I want Youngstown to be that place. I don't want it to be, they say, oh, that's just Youngstown. I want them to say, hey, that's Youngstown. What's going on over in Youngstown? I want them to kind of talk about us in the positive. I want DC, I want Columbus, I want everywhere to say, let's go see what's going on in Youngstown. There's something new going on. And I talk about a new Youngstown, I talk about a fresh start, and I really mean it. I mean, if you don't have to know anybody to come and do it, if you want to be a developer, you don't have to have, any inside track. If you come here, you want to open a business, you want to do business, and you're ready to help Youngstown, it's open for you. So it's no strings attached for Youngstown.
Would you say the current administration has some momentum going for them? I think they've done a pretty good job in downtown with development and things of that nature.
Well, I think the current administration has some great things going on, and I talked about this just the other day, and I want to keep those things going. So that's why I look forward to talking with Mayor McNally and his administration about some of the things that they have already going, and then maybe they have another playbook they didn't quite bring out yet. Maybe they'll pass it off to me, and we can continue that forward progress.
Job creation, that's always big here in Youngstown, and a lot of people deal with poverty, unfortunately, in the city. What do you want to do to address that?
We want to make sure we're competitive. We want to make sure at least the top 100 companies in the nation, they know where Youngstown, Ohio is. They know our land value. They understand the cost of living. They know Handel's ice cream. So we want them to be familiar with us. So when they're making decisions, or when we're pitching ideas, or they want to open another chill can plant, how do we attract those individuals to come here? So we will be competitive. We won't sit here and wait for them to come to us. We'll go out and seek them out.
What about the school system that's going on? Any thoughts on CEO Mohip?
We have to be at the table with him. We want to be a help. I know I'm not an educator. I'm the mayor, and my job is the day-to-day operations for the city. But I want to be at the table and help the CEO and the superintendent obtain those educational goals that we put in place. People say, well, what happens if you take over, as the mayor for the school system? I said, well, I put educators around me who understand education. I want to make sure that I'm not going to try to be everything to all people. So I'm going to make sure that we know where we should start and where we should finish, and I want to make sure we'll do that.
Safer neighborhoods, I think you stressed on as well. Homicide numbers are down from what they used to be, but always one murder is probably too many.
It's one too many. When I meet moms or dads who've lost their children to homicide, to violence, it bothers me. So when I'm going to City Hall every day, I have a face to those things that are happening in this community. I want to make sure that we don't have any. But I'm realistically, but every day I want to go in there and say, let's reduce it, let's eliminate it, so let's make it better.
What about you said you want to make Youngstown, in Washington and Columbus, people want to come check it out and not just say, oh, that's Youngstown. What do you got to do to get rid of the black eye from past scandals? Yeah,
it's a trust issue. It's a mindset. I think one of the first things you start with City Hall. You start with those who are there, letting them know that we're a team, we're working together, that we don't work in an island, we don't work in a silo. So if City Hall is open and communicating with the citizens of what's going on, there's nothing to hide, I think that starts, that's a big start. But just letting people see that, what you said you were going to do, you're going to do. And when you have an opportunity to put it out there, don't be shy about it. And I won't be shy about telling the citizens or the local media, come see what we're doing.
What about your campaign do you think jumped out at people? Why did they choose you over Sean McKinney?
I think at the end of the day, they just consistently saw Tito Brown's heart. When you talk to me about Youngstown, it never was a message about anybody but Youngstown. It was a message about, you know, the people of Youngstown. It was a message about who I work for. And I consistently will say that. I told someone the other day, I work for the citizens of Youngstown, you know, and I put them first. And I think that resonates with people. I work for the citizens. They're my employer, and they evaluate me on how well I'm going to do as mayor. And every day that I go to City Hall, they have a chance to evaluate me. Every year, they have a chance to evaluate me. So I believe if you go and you work hard and you put the people first, you've done your job. You have to put together, when I talk about a team, but you have to look at what do you need in those positions. You want to find out, you know, how do you translate that conversation? How do you translate your vision to those who are going to sit around the table and either, you know, are on your cabinet or a part of the administration? You have to translate your vision to them. You know, they probably heard, you know, they heard the campaign speech, but when it comes to, when you talk about homicide, when I'm talking about the nuts and bolts, you need to make sure you have a team that are ready, and they're going to be, you know, they're going to sacrifice, and they got to be willing to sacrifice as well as I'm going to sacrifice for the city. They need to say, you know what, it's not a 9 to 5 in City Hall. Mm-hmm. There's going to be some unconventional time, unconventional hours. One of the things that I'm going to require from my cabinet, like I said, if I have the control, I'm going to ask them to be a part of some type of community board, nonprofit board. We're out in the community. Each one of my cabinet members, I want them to be find where they love, whether it's at St. Vincent de Paul, United Way. I want them to be part of a community board.
Any plans that I'm not asking about that you want the people watching this to know about?
You know, I think you'll see it. I'll unroll it. You know, we'll every day we'll consistently say, you know, here's what I'm working on. I won't be shy about, you know, because, you know, I've already had people ask about resumes. Where should I send them? And I just told them this week my team and I will sit down and we'll have a place where you should send them. You know, and I want it to be as transparent as possible. I don't want, you know, if you're sitting here and I know that you want to be, you know, the police chief, and I know that man, I really like Tyler to be my police chief. I want you to, you're going to submit a resume just like anyone else. So we'll keep the process consistent.
That resume will not be coming in.
You got time to go get certified, right? You know, some mayors come in and says, I know who I want, and they don't go through a process. And I'm not just going through a process just to go through a process. I mean, I go through a process and find someone like, wow, I didn't realize that was, and I want the most talented, but I want them to be competitive as well. I want, you know, when I pick a cabinet, I want them to say, wow, you got a great cabinet. And I consistently say, I want it diverse, I want it to look like this community, but I want them to be talented. And I want them to say, you know what, we're going to pour our heart and soul out for the city of Youngstown. So, you know, my goal is definitely sometime around Christmas. I want to be sitting with the team. I probably would like to have a holiday celebration with the team together, because I'm from that old school. We sit, we eat, we break bread, we work consistently together.